everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining in. Welcome to November edition of Post Now Activates. We are happy to have you. Good morning, Asha. Good morning, Tobi. Thank you for joining us. We are so glad to have you. Good morning, everyone. Please tell your friends that we are live now so that we can get started. I'll be back in a few minutes. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Oluwafolakemi, and I'll be your host for today. So before we start, I'd like to give an overview of everything we're doing. So firstly, we have our two speakers here, Asha Deniyi and Tobi Asehinde. Thank you for joining us. We're so glad to have you. So we have two speakers. We have keynotes from each speaker, 20 minutes, and then we have a panelist section where you can ask anything from our speakers relating to the topic, and they will do well to answer you. And then we have brief introduction of each speaker, which will take less than 5 minutes. And then we'll be out of here in 1 hour, 30 minutes. So please stay tuned, join us, and I hope you are with your pen and your paper so that you can jot down things that they will be sharing with us from their experience and from their own career aspect too. So my name is Kemi once again. Thank you for joining us. So let's start with Tobi Asehinde. Good morning, Tobi. Trust you're doing well. I would like to see your face, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We're so glad to have you. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me as well. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We are glad to have you here, sir. So I'll just read a brief of your profile and then I'll share the video. Please give me a few seconds. I'll be with you shortly.
Hello, my name is Joy Akosa, and I'm a digital marketer. I'm popularly known as the social media doctor on Instagram. So I found out about DSMI on Google, where I was searching for knowledge for digital marketing to be able to build websites and to be able to do email marketing. I have always admired the way they send me emails. From the first day I went into their website, I wanted to know more about email marketing and Google AdWords. So now going back to Javel Media, I'm going to start doing Google AdWords. For the first class, I have started implementing everything that I was taught in DSMI, from the customer avatar to everything. I've started implementing it. And I'm happy to say I have made 3 times the money I spent in DSMI just within the 2 weeks into the training. So I would advise prospects that have gone to their site and interested in a course, do not look at the money, just come because you will get what's more than your money. The coaches here are wonderful.
I would like to make money too. Okay, so Tobi Asehinde is the CEO of DMSI. DMSI is Digital Marketing Skill Institute. According to him, he once said, people are constantly on the lookout for people with digital skills. Unfortunately, there's a huge gap between those who need the skills and those who have the talents to provide them. So join us today as we welcome Tobi Asehinde as he shares on positioning yourself to attracting global opportunities as an individual. Please, with a digital welcome, let's welcome Tobi Asehinde. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm happy that I get to talk about a topic that is also very dear to me, which is how do you position yourself to attract global opportunity? And I mean, so first of all, I just want to come from the angle of you made a quote. So when you come from the angle of being a global talent, right? If you want to access global opportunity, I think the first step is you need to see yourself and position yourself as a global talent, as a talent that everybody wants. So why there are so many people, for example, I run a digital marketing institute, and why there are so many people that say that they are digital marketers, right? But very few of them are actually talents, right? They're actually people that are good in the job. Now, unfortunately, also we also have good talents, right? That also have not been able to know how to position themselves adequately, right? So they haven't positioned themselves in such a way that they would be able to have a more globalized opportunity. Right now, I mean, when it comes to opportunity, also when you talk about global talent, you can be looking at the opportunity from 2 angles, right? Opportunity in terms of career-wise, right? And then also, I mean, the recent vibe, which is opportunity in terms of JAPA, in terms of relocation, right? You have, I mean, a lot of, I mean, there are a lot of countries right now that have digital nomad, what they call it, opportunities where they give you visa to relocate and you can work from their country and earn and all that. You also have what they call it, a lot of countries also that have the global talent route, which is where with your skill, they would give you a visa to come work. And most of those global talent visas are also very, very flexible. The UK has they call it global talent. Even Canada has one, and America has one also called the O1 visa, right? So you can look at it from those 2 angles. Now, in terms of career-wise, right? When we look at, for example, I'm going to talk from the perspective of digital, right? So when you're a digital talent, for example, you are not constrained to, I mean, just your location. So we've seen a lot of our students, for example, be in Nigeria and work for companies in the US, in the UK, Canada, Australia, and the likes, right? Dubai and so on, right? And which makes them earn in foreign currency, and that currency automatically, it makes more sense when you want to spend it in naira. in Nigeria. So you have that as an opportunity in terms of global opportunity. Now, in terms of global opportunity, also in that angle, there are two angles to it also. So you can either be working as an employee, or you can be working as a self-employed, right? As a self-employed person, right? So you have those options, right, for you in the first place. But the real question is, okay, so how do I position myself? How do I assess this opportunity? What are the things that what are the things that they are looking out for? What are the things that are what they call it are of importance, when it comes to uh, being able to attract or assess, majority of this what they call it, global opportunities. So I mean, I have a couple of points. I mean, my first point is the importance of focusing on results. Focusing on results, so in a different world in terms of Nigeria, while some organizations in Nigeria, even when you're trying to employ or doing the interview process, or even before you get shortlisted, they look at your CV and they're trying to look at the results that you have, right? But I've seen many CVs, right, of people that are actually talented when you actually get to know them, right? But they are not highlighting the results that they've gotten, right? They are not highlighting the result they've gotten. And so it's very, very important as the first starting point is that if you're going to be if you're going to position yourself for global opportunity, you have to focus on what they call it, on results, focus on driving result, focus on driving, uh, having actual figures, that you can show to people, oh, I did this, I grew a social media page from 0 followers to 50,000 followers within a month. You have actual numbers, so which requires you to focus on results. When you focus on results, it becomes a lot much easier for you to be able to what they call it, present that to your to be able to package it in your CV, put it on your LinkedIn profile, and when companies are looking for, when you apply for international opportunities, you would be able to, get their attention, right? Because now they are seeing that you have what they call, you have not just said you are a digital marketer or you're a digital talent, but you've gone one step ahead to show that you can actually drive what they call it, results. And one of the things that also that my second point is, and I know is quite, a lot of people might disagree to agree, but one of the things that, for you to attract global opportunity is most people want you to not just be in your career, just to make money, right? They want you to also contribute outside your immediate career. So they want you to, for example, do pro bono work, right? For non-for-profit, for example, right? So that's very, very important, right? A lot of global opportunities that you would want to assess would always want to know, okay, so what have you done? What have you done outside? What have you done outside? Are you part of any association? Are you part of any NGO? Are you part of, any organization trying to make a positive change and also what they call it, impact into the country or the country you are in, or the environment, your immediate environment, your local government, and things like that. So it's important to get involved. It's important to what they call it, do pro bono work, because those things do matter. So, for example, at the digital marketer, for example, I could work with an NGO that maybe, for example, they try to get more people to donate blood, right? And I'm able to put together a marketing strategy, for free for that, for whatever, and that strategy eventually helps them to increase the amount of blood donations that they're able to get, for example, right? So those things are things that will give you a standing edge, right, above other people. right? So you want to understand that those little things, they do matter and they make significant impact. So you have to understand that if you're going to assess global opportunity, especially even for example, most of what they call it, the talent visa opportunities, then you have to, do things, outside of your regular work. Do you understand? And contribute to the society. Right now, one other thing that I think that a lot of people, a lot of talented people, and I'm saying this because we run a digital marketing company, a digital marketing institute. We train people, and we also educate people on on how to access global opportunities and things like that. And so, but when I get to have conversations with people that are really, really brilliant, people that we all admire and things like that, and they want to, for example, they want to apply for global talent visa UK technician, right? And then you start asking them, okay, so what are the things that you have to, show all this your awesome work that you've done before in the past, right? And they struggle to even produce just one piece of evidence, right? So what I'm saying, for example, is that no matter how little or how small, from day one, you should start to document, right? So you took over, let's say, for example, you were hired to manage the social media page. Take the screenshot of the day you started work, the numbers of people that were following. You know what I'm saying? 3 months after, take the screenshot, document it, put it in document it. You have to document all your achievements, your process, no matter how little, how small, or how large it is, right? Because those things do matter and those things form your portfolio. So building a portfolio is like 98% very, very essential if you're going to be able to access global opportunity. And a lot of people will say, okay, so what if I'm in service? What if what I do, the thing I do, is not digital, it's just service and things like that, right? There are a lot of things that you can always, document. There's, for every service, there's always a before and an after. There's always an experience as you could do, just always ensure that you document your achievements, you document your success, you document your processes, right? Because when it's time to, in order to be able to, get these global opportunities, then it's very, very important that you have to understand that particular part, right? Now, my next point is you have to be active. You have to put yourself out there, right? Now, most people would say, oh, I'm a shy person, right? I don't like to be on the media, don't put me in the media. I like my confidentiality, and things like that, right? Well, that's fine. We're in a free world, or we believe that we're in a free world, right? And that's fine. You can have those opinions, but those opinions, 80% of the time, come back to haunt you, right, in the long run, right? So it's important that, you have to be active online. You have to put yourself out there, right? You have to, if you get the opportunity to be on the press, embrace it, right? And be out there, right? Because those things are things that, they help, so an interesting thing is, okay, so one question I ask people is, if I Google you, what comes out on Google, right? Will I even be able to find you, right? Or I would see one post on you insulting or laughing at one nonsense tweet, or on Twitter, right? So you want to be out there, right? You want to be out there. You want to be deliberately out there. You want, when people search you, when people Google you, one simple thing that you could easily do is that, oh, this is, introduce yourself. Oh, my name is Tobi Asehinde. This is what I do and everything. If you want to know more about me, go on Google and search, But, and then people will be able to say, oh, wow, this guy is, and likes of me. So when you go for, especially when you're assessing global opportunities, they would always do their due diligence, right? They would always do their due diligence, right? And that due diligence requires the easiest thing possible, which is typing your name on Google, right? So are you going to be there, or what they're going to find is you insulting a politician, or you, what they call it, you just not being there at all, or just, faffing around on the internet. So if you want to be a global talent, you want to position yourself to attract global opportunities, then be out there, right? Be in the media, right? And that's something that is very, very important, right? Now, when we talk about attracting, right? So one of the easiest way to attract, I'm going to focus on the word attract. Now, one of the easiest way to attract is to what they call it, it's based on the previous stuff I mentioned earlier on, which is for you to be out there, right? But in more essence, is one of the best way to attract is really what they call it, being a thought leader, right? And what do I mean by being a thought leader? I mean, you are contributing your knowledge, to other people, right? So you are either writing, managing a blog, which there are a lot of platforms today. You have Substack, you have Medium, and the likes of it, right? You can be putting out content, that are useful, right, for your industry on those platforms. Now, one of the things I always say is that, when you sleep and one day someone calls you out of the blue and calls you for a $1 million contract, and you're like, what? How did this happen? And likes of it, and you start, but you need to understand that some of those things are as a result of being a thought leadership, right? So when people say those things, it's more of as a result of being a thought leader in their field. So which means that one way or the other, someone somewhere found their content, you know, liked it, digested it, saw the person as a knowledgeable person in this area, and felt that, oh, I must find this person to work with. Do you understand? So there are different ways to do that. You can, what do you call it, write on Medium, have your own blog. What they call it, even LinkedIn has, the what they call it, the content part of it, the article part, that you can always push out articles on LinkedIn, right? And then that could go to, different connections and things like that. And you can also strategically use LinkedIn also to target potential people that you want to, you want to assess their opportunities. There are global people that you want to assess their opportunities, right? And then when you put out content, they get to see it once in a while. It falls on their timeline. They get to see it, and then they start to see you as a thought leader, right? You could also use YouTube videos. You could use podcasts, right? So you could do YouTube videos educating people, and you can do podcasts as well. Now, interestingly, some of these things I'm mentioning happen to also be things that, if you're going for a global talent, for example, visa, you would, what they call it, you would originally be asked, to submit those type of evidence, right? Like articles you've written, videos you've done, podcasts you've done, and things like that. So it's important that when you do those things, right, you start to attract the right set of people, right? So the best way, and what I'm just going to, focus on and also end with, is the importance for you to, what they call it, to be out there, right? Through, be a thought leader, right? In your field, by giving out free, useful, helpful content, right? Even by even being a mentor, a tutor, a coach, at training companies, say, oh, I can talk to your students about this, I can train your students about this, you know, and get those opportunities to talk to people about what you do. When you do that, you document it, right? So documenting is very, very important. You add it to your CV, you add it to your profile. Oh, I spoke at OSNA now 2022, right? And things like that. So you want to, what they call it, try as much as possible, get as much opportunities, document it, do things pro bono. Don't just focus on the money. The money is important. The money is going to come when you put yourself out as a thought leader, right? In fact, you will realize that people will not price you, right? You will tell them your fee is this amount, and they will do that without hesitating, because what? They've seen that you know what you're doing, you know your onions, you are a talent, and you are one that, should be given as much opportunity as possible, right? So you want to do that, right? And in doing that, don't forget, ensure your CV is always up to date. As you achieve, you update. As you document, you update your CV, your portfolio, your profile on LinkedIn and other online platforms that you might be on, right? Because it's very, very important, and ensure that you are consistent across all your online platforms. So you don't want a situation where your one platform is saying XY and then the other one is saying ZY, right? You want both to be saying XY, XY. Do you understand? So it's very, very important so that nobody is thinking or doubting or become skeptical about your ability to be able to, your honesty, your integrity, right? So it's very, very important that you, in doing that, it's very, very, very critical. Right now, there are also a lot of platforms, right, that you can deliberately create your profiles on in order to be able to access a lot of opportunities depending on what you do. For example, if you are a non-code person, right, there are sites where you can put yourself up as a no-code person. If you're a WordPress developers, there are freelance websites that you can go to. You have Fiverr, you have Upwork, and the likes of them. So you want to also put yourself on those platforms, right? And on those platforms, you have to show your portfolio, you have to be deliberate, and you'll be so surprised how you would attract a lot of opportunities, right? I hope that I've been able to, share a lot with you guys, and you've taken notes of some of the things I've said. In summary, I spoke about the need to focus on results. I spoke about doing pro bono work, right, as a way to do things outside your current occupation, right, your current job, right, contributing to other people. I spoke about documenting your achievements, right, and building a portfolio, right. And then I spoke about being active, being out there, being in the media. Spoke about being a thought leader, right. And I hope that this helps you as you plan to assess and attract global opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, can we give a digital applause? Thank you. Thank you, Tobi Asehinde. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. One of the points that eats me is if I Google you, what comes out on Google? I don't even know. But thank you for sharing. Documenting, yes, I'm taking note of that. I should document and be a thought leader, contribute to your knowledge. And then be consistent on all platforms. Instagram should not be saying one thing and LinkedIn should be saying another. Those points were for me. Thank you for sharing. We really appreciate. Thank you, guys. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please stay online. We still have questions coming up. And then we have panelist session soon. So we'll be introducing our second speaker, Asha Adeniyi. Asha Adeniyi is the CEO of Eazipay. Please give me a few seconds to share what they do in Eazipay. So yeah. Okay, so Asha is the co-founder and CEO of Eazipay. Eazipay is a Nigerian technology startup that is growing rapidly. It has been endorsed by some of the world's most prominent venture capitalists, including Y Combinator. Asha has a BSc in food engineering and has received certifications in model thinking, business strategy, and social psychology. He's also a recipient of the Mandela Washington Fellowship Award. With a digital club, please let's welcome Asha Adeniyi. I'm not seeing the digital club, guys. Let's welcome him. You're welcome, Asha. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, we can.
Okay, just navigating. My network has been very hectic. Well, thank you. Thank you, our previous speaker. I also learned a lot. I mean, I had to do some of those things myself. So thank you, Tobi. Thanks for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you.
Just give me like a minute to just set myself up and then.
Okay. All right. So while Asha is setting up, I believe of taking notes. If you haven't, go and Google yourself and see what you can find. I hope you've not insulted the politician, and that's what it's showing. Be intentional, and that's what Tobi taught us. Let's be deliberate. Let's take ourselves out there. Yes, I know we are shy, we are humble. Yeah. Well, take yourself out there so that you can position yourself. Okay. Asha, are you ready for us? Okay. Asha is still trying to set up. So Tobi also mentioned that your CV should be up to date. Please ensure you do that. I'm sure I'm a victim of that too. Ensure you update your CV, document everything. If you have to take pictures, ensure to do that. If you have to take videos, if you have to write it in a journal, just ensure you're documenting your progress, you're documenting your success story, no matter how little they are, ensure you're documenting everything because you never can tell where you need them. So Asha is ready for us. Welcome back.
Hi everyone. Thank you. Can you hear me and can you see me?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly and we can see you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm excited to be here and to share a little bit with us today. And I think the organizers, host now, thank you for inviting me. You mentioned that I should share from the business perspective, so how you can position yourself to attract global opportunities. I think a bit of background is just for the audience, so that you probably just have like an idea of maybe some of the reasons why the organizer said I should talk about it. So I've been fortunate to have not just the US government through the Department of State giving us an award for doing some bits in the business world here in Nigeria, but also by the UK government. I've also interacted and secured a number of investment from investors from Canada, New Zealand, USA, and China. So, and obviously prominent amongst all these investments is the endorsement and investments from Y Combinator. So this morning, we'll just be talking about, for some of us that are in business or will be looking to go into the business, how can you position yourself for some of these opportunities, you know? And I think that one of the things I'll start with is, you know, my first job was I worked closely with the chief marketing officer of Coca-Cola for 5 countries. And I remember there was a riddle one day. He sort of has that has a knack for asking questions relating to marketing because, you know, he is a marketing guru in Nigeria. So he came in one day and it was like, we're talking about positioning. And obviously, you know that positioning is one of the vital pieces in marketing, right? So it was like, what is positioning? According to the Coca-Cola model, Coca-Cola prides themselves as one of the foremost marketing firm in the world after Nike, or compare themselves with Nike too. And it was like, what's positioning? And we're giving different answers, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he wanted something simple. And if I can remember correctly, he said something like positioning is how you want to be seen in the market, right? How do you want people to perceive you in the market? And how can you position yourself to be that thing, you know? And obviously, if you have listened to Tobi, you'll find out that everything he has said is exactly that. How do you want to be seen in the market? Because that's how people will see you, you know, and perception is reality, you know. That's why marketing is very vital. And when I talk about marketing, I'm talking about branding, you know, I'm not talking about skills here. I'm talking about marketing regarding branding, perception, positioning, and all those things. So, so in this regards to, you know, I want to share how can you, so the first step is, how do you want to be seen in the marketplace? You know, how do you want to be seen in the marketplace? Because obviously all of us are in the marketplace. And if you want to attract, you know, ants very quickly, it's a no-brainer to let sugar lie around, right? So the question is, what is your own sugar, or what's your own honey? You know, that kind of stuff. So what do you want to put around? What do you want to lie on the floor so to attract the right, you know, opportunities? And opportunities are what you need, you know, to scale higher. So I think the first thing I would say is that I'll start with what I usually start with when I'm talking to people about global opportunities. And you can only attract who you are, do you get? So, and who you are is a function of your dreams, right? Your dreams. So what are your own dreams, personal dreams? You know, let's take fear away, right? Let's fear is there. I mean, for some people and for some people, you know, fear regulates their decisions. But we all have fear, but it doesn't have to regulate all our decisions, you know. So I think the first question you now need to ask yourself is, you know, what is my dream in the business world? What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve with this business of mine, with this problem I'm solving? You know, I started solving this. So if probably the problem is probably you are in the baking industry, so you bake cake probably for maybe children. So you bake cake for children between 1 and maybe 5 or 1 and 10, you know. So yes, probably solve you have probably there's a problem around cake for this kind of families. So you're trying to solve a problem around that, right? So what is your dream? Having started that business, yeah, you started from, you know, the small stage, the conceptualization, the execution. Now you've started day one. Now day 100, and we say day 100, what is a dream, right? Day 1000, what is a dream? Day 5000, what is a dream? So one of the ways to kind of regulate your dream is to regulate it with history and with future predictions, okay? So what I mean is that what has happened before, who has achieved what you want to achieve before, all right? So that's one of the things, that's how you can regulate your dream. So who has been in the industry and succeeded, either in Nigeria or in the US or in the UK? That's how you can validate your dream and see how big you can become. That's how you can actually think out with different ideas and say, oh, yeah, I can actually sell this online. I can actually sell this digital. I can just focus on WhatsApp because of my market. Oh, wow, someone did it like that in India and became maybe $100 million company or a $1 billion company or whatever. So you want to just have a dream, because that dream is actually the first thing, you know, like I said, you attract who you are, and who you are is a function of your dream. So that dream would attract people. You know why? Because you start talking, you know, in relation with the dream. Quick, it just occurring to me that, you know, there is this biblical story we all know of Joseph, right? Joseph had this dream and kept having the dream and he kept telling people, but obviously the people that I was telling were not didn't really matter, or were not the right set of people to share the dream with, right? But that's what happens when you have a dream and then you're sharing with the right people. You know, the right people will propel you. You know, the right people will give you the required resources and the required energy, you know, to jump up and to achieve those dreams. So it's very important, you know. It's like David in the Bible telling his warriors, oh, let's go and fight this battle, you know, and he's showing them how to fight that battle, and they believe and they go and fight the battle and they conquer the land, you know. It's the same thing. So you need to the thing that can change your language, that can change how you talk and how you prepare for the future, is your dream about tomorrow. And when I talk about this dream, see, I'm not talking about the dream in a motivational perspective now, because I'm in the business world and I do real business. Real business means you're making money and you have to make money. So I'm not talking about motivation here. I'm talking about what this business can achieve in terms of your most important metrics. So your most important metrics should be revenue. Anyways, eventually it has to be revenue, right? But sometimes you can start with maybe number of customers. You can start with your penetration. You can start with market share. Depends, right? You can start with maybe revenue through advertising, or the number of advertising, or the number of users, or the number of downloads. It depends on what your most important metrics are. But eventually your most important metrics must lead to revenue, right? So you want to find out, okay, so who has achieved this kind of metrics, and how can I achieve it in my client? Because that is what will make the most sense, right? So it's very, very important that you kind of define what that vision is, what that dream is, because it matters, you know, it defines who you are. That's what I literally define who you are, because it defines, you know, it influences your communication, it influences your preparation, it influences the decision you make, it influences the type of friends you keep, and then, it influences the opportunities you watch out for, right? So, and that's what we're talking about today, because I see a lot of people apply for several things, but you already know that there is a mismatch, because there is a mismatch of vision between the person that wants to give the opportunity and the person that is applying for the opportunity, right? So you want to be sure, right? I mean, some of the things that I've done in the past, you know, and some of the opportunities that I have had in the past, I know that it has been a complete blend, a complete, you know, a blend of the opportunity and my preparation, because I was prepared for that vision, and the vision met the person that can actually sponsor the vision. So, and that's what opportunity is, because there is always somebody somewhere that wants to sponsor a dream, a vision, and has the resources to do that. So you want to look out for that. Also, in my notes, I also noted that you can only make super progress on what matters to the world. So, if you think about that carefully, you know, we're not saying Nigeria opportunities. We're not saying positioning yourself for Lagos opportunities or Nigeria opportunities or Ghana opportunities or Africa opportunities. We're saying global opportunities, right? So position yourself for global opportunities. And what matters to the world, what matters to the affairs of the world are divided into two. You know, you have the economic world and then you have the human world. All right. So the economic world is what matters to the world in terms of economy, right? What will make the world move in terms of economy. So how can your business position itself as an economic, what's it called? Maybe an economic opportunity, right? For someone to invest in or for someone to sponsor. Or we also know that there's a human world where you have the human rights, you have the things like climate change, you have the things like hunger, healthcare, education, and things that really matter to the human world, to the humankind, right? So that's how you can also position yourself in that respect, right? One of the things I've learned is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, especially if you are from this side of the world where, you know, a lot of the opportunities you need to really make a difference has to come from the first world because, you know, I mean, you can see the dollar to naira today. So if you have dollar, today you have a lot of dollars, then you'll be doing well in Africa because that's just how it is. So imagine someone giving you $10 million. Imagine what you can do in Nigeria. So if you can, but in this climb, you know, some things matter to them, right? And you have to position yourself in that respect. You can't say because you're in Nigeria, this is what matters to you. This is how we do our things in Nigeria, and it's you won't, you know, organize your business, organize yourself to be attractive, you know, because, you know, the key word is how can you attract ants, right? That's a key word we started with. So how can you attract these opportunities? How can you attract investment? How can you attract people liking your business and sponsoring your business, you know? So I'm now saying that there are two ways you can do that. You can either position yourself to attract investment through being economic, what's it called? Maybe economy relevant, or in the case of humankind relevant or human rights relevant. Okay, so your business has to be, or your organization has to be one of these two. Okay, your organization has to be one of these two. Either you have a very good governance structure, a very good they call it business continuity structure, a very good leadership structure, you know, a very good structure that just ensures that, oh, this business will not die. This business is focused. This business has a lot of traction. You know, this business is not a one-man business. It's not a one-man show, you know. So it's very important, okay? The other one is probably you're an organization that has a mission or has values that makes it look human relevant, you know. So you want to position yourself as solving a key problem, you know, of the world. So it's very important, you know, to position yourself. And lastly, what I would say is, I haven't done all these things, okay? If you have started executing as an entrepreneur, you've started doing the right things as an entrepreneur, you have your vision and you're developing the vision, because the vision is continuous, right? It's a continuous motion. And even if you have a vision for next year, it's still a continuous motion towards that vision, right? So one of the things that you want to do is to now look for those opportunities. Okay, so you now need to look for those opportunities, apply for them, position yourself in front of these opportunities, you know, sorry, position yourself in front of these opportunities and ask for them to hear you out, you know, either by writing the right application, because first, a lot of this opportunity has to do with application, or you sending an email, a cold email to an investor, you know. So you have to also learn the rudimentary of doing all these things, okay? So if you're, for instance, applying for a global opportunity, you need to read the criteria, you know, you need to be familiar, you know, put yourself, and this is why there are several things that we've applied for as a business, and recently we only apply for things that we know that there's an assurance that we'll get it, and almost 100% we get it, because we put ourselves in the shoes of those people that want to give out these opportunities and ask ourselves, what do they want, or what would we want, right? What would we want? Okay, so because, and you will already know, okay, they're looking for certain kind of individuals, they're looking for certain kind of organizations, all right? So that while you're looking for these opportunities, you know, just read those application or whatever, read them very, very well, and just go through them step one at a time. All right. If like Tobi talked about the global talent for Canada, US, and UK, some other, there's been for a lot of European countries like Luxembourg, Portugal, and all those things. So you can read them and ask yourself all the necessary questions. Okay. There was one opportunity I saw recently, and they said, oh, they will need a detailed a monthly tax returns to ascertain monthly income. And I already know, oh, this is not how it is done in Nigeria, and I already know that, oh, that will probably be a barrier, for this kind of opportunity, so just read through it. Sometimes it's not even as hard as a lot of people make it out to be, so one of the things is when you look at for these opportunities, look at the one that resonates with you. Not all opportunities resonate. Okay, look at the one that resonates with you. A lot of opportunities have money involved, have investment involved, has a lot of things involved. But look at the one that resonates with you. Look at the one that resonates with your organization, with how you believe your organization should be run. Okay, I can tell you practically that millions of investments have been declined by our company because it's not just, and we're talking about millions of dollars, it's because it's not just aligning with the vision and values of our business. All right, there's a way we see the business, there's a way we want to build our business from Africa to the world. All right, and if you don't have this kind of investors that believe in Africa, you would actually struggle. All right, so one of the things that you want to look out for is, the alignment of values between the opportunities and your business, and you will be fine. All right. Okay. So those are the things that I have used personally. There is no extra thing. The only extra thing is just to be diligent in probably writing the cold email to an investor, trying to find out, okay, what does this investor like? Has this investor invested in this kind of business before? What makes this investor tick? Or what made this global organization that is requesting for application? What are they looking for? What kind of people have they endorsed before? That kind of diligence. That's the only thing that's remaining. Okay, so you can, and if you are trying to find out how to be diligent, then you probably just Google. So just Google and find out, the important things you need to know about the applications, and you see different materials online, and then you can go ahead. Google is your friend. I tell people any question that you can answer with Google, I'm not going to bother answering you. So Google is your friend. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity once again, Now, and thank you for listening to me. I hope I've been able to share one or two things, that you can apply. If you have questions, we are still here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure you guys have been able to note something. Yes, be diligent. Be diligent in writing emails. Be diligent in doing your pitch decks. Be diligent. Thank you so much for sharing, Asha. So I have a couple of questions, and we'll be back to just joining. Please, let's go on a break. We'll be right back. Okay. Okay. Yes, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so I have 3 questions for Toby and Asha. Okay, let me start with Toby. So someone said that the online consistent thing you mentioned can be quite hard for some of us. I like being goofy on IG, and my Twitter is for serious work stuff. Is that going to be a problem?
Okay, so yeah.
Okay, I think he's having a network issue. Please give him some minutes. Okay, so maybe I can relate to Asha's question first. Okay, so Asha, someone said, I plan to start a business, but I would love to know the things investors look at before they invest in a startup.
Okay, so interestingly, one of my close friends called me yesterday to ask the same question. So I think there are different kinds of investors, right? There is a typical Nigerian investor, which I am part of. I'm part of the typical Nigerian investor. And we look out for different things. The investor in Nigeria will look for maximum return, okay? Maximum return on investment. So there are different things they look out. So they will look at the opportunity and say, okay, this guy is just starting his business. How much of the business can I get? All right. So that's what a typical Nigerian investor will look out for. But we're talking about foreign investors, which you should, if you can get foreign investors, those are the ideal investors that should be on your cap table. What they look for is first the founders. Who are the founders? Do they have like track record of doing something good? And these founders execute this thing that they are saying, because startup is hard, business is hard, right? So they want to know, why should we believe in you? Why should we give you money? That's the first thing. The only reason somebody will invest in your business for the very first time at the early stage, which we call pre-seed or seed, is, can we trust you with these funds, right? What story are you telling? Okay, so that's the first and most important criteria. So you have to be trustworthy. If you've had very bad press on the internet as a first-time founder, it might be very hard for you to raise investment. Okay, or you might raise, even when you raise it, might raise it at very bad terms. The other thing they look out for is traction. Okay, nobody doubts traction. So if you have good traction, people want to jump on your business, okay? So traction is very important, and measure the right things, measure what matters, like the guy says, measure the right things. If you are supposed to measure revenue and you are measuring number of customers, or you are supposed to measure number of users, and you are measuring number of downloads, you are measuring the wrong things, okay? So measure what matters, measure the right things, and share your traction with investors. Traction move mountains. Traction make you close deals very fast, So those things are, the two most important things at the early stage.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. You were saying something about founders tracking record of something good. So it means they should still document and have online presence, right?
Is that for me?
Yes, I'm just asking based on what you just mentioned now. You said investors look at the founders. They look at if you've done something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can have online presence. Because I would say for me, I don't really have online presence, but you can have online presence, but it really doesn't. So for startups, especially in the industries that are moving fast, what really matters is, so for instance, if you're starting an Internet of Things company, right? And you've worked for Siemens. You are hardcore engineer for Siemens. You have a very good background. So there's a high believability that, this guy is going to execute, this guy is going to, you do get. But if you probably, maybe you work for Siemens, but you were a salesperson, you might need to sell it harder. You might say, oh, I know the best engineers in the industry, the best engineers in the industry are working for me, that kind of stuff, right? But if you are coming from FMCG and you're starting IoT, that would be very hard, man. Do you get? So probably, maybe you had a first degree in engineering or something, but it will really be hard to sell to an investor that you're coming from FMCG and you want to sell chips. So that's what I'm saying. So just what would tell this investor that but if you've built a business, I mean, if you've sold a business, you've had a very good exit, that's also a good story to tell. So it's a combination of different factors.
Okay, thank you so much. So back to you, Tobi. The person said, did you get the question earlier?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Okay. So really, you cannot. I mean, it's in true sense, it's not supposed to affect, but you need to have this at the back of your mind that it's how you want people to see you. So if they're going to do research, if they're going to do their due diligence, right, and they go check your profile, do you want to appear as a joke, or do you want to appear as someone that is serious? That does not mean that you should stop being yourself, but it's just you striking a balance between how you use your social media platforms, right? Because they do tell a lot about who you are, the kind of person you are. Just like what Asha said, which is the fact that if anybody is going to want to give you an opportunity, right? They're going to be looking at the kind of person you are, your profile, right? The kind of background, the kind of things you do. And so being deliberate about that, can go a long way in actually helping you to position yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. Asha, this is for you. Someone said, if I'm going to raise funds, do I really need to bother about values, or I just take money from wherever it comes?
Well, I mean, nobody can force you to do anything, right? That's what even we founders talk about. But I mean, when you sleep in the police station, then you have to deal with it, right? When you have to close your business down because you are no more motivated because your earlier investor is not willing to sell some part of the share so that you can have more, so that you can be motivated as a founder, then it's something you have to deal with. And that's why we say, what are the things that matter to you? For some people, they just want to get enough money to start another business, okay? They know that it's going to be hard to, maybe they are coming from a very hard place, and those are part of the reality. So you feel like, okay, you know what? I mean, by the time I do my Series B, probably I'll be left with less than 5%. It's okay. I'll just sell what I need to sell and make some money and start another business. So some people are very real like that, and they deal with reality like that, because maybe the next business they start, obviously, if they are exiting well, they would start the next business on a high note. So it really depends on what your own reality is and what you want to do. But I would advise that, I mean, again, if you want to have, maybe at the early stage, you want to have peace of mind, just deal with international investor. Make sure you have, even if it's just you and your co-founders and maybe a mentor, just have a board that kind of regulates what you do, okay? Just make sure that you have very proper good governance, okay? That will go oversight. If you are the CEO, try and have a good governance for your company, not just from the CEO desk, but from the board level, so you're accountable to the board, and that gives you some level of trust. So that can attract the right investors, even if you are not then looking at values, right? If you are not prioritizing values, then your board can even just advise you on what to take and what not to take, okay, and how to look at the deal. I agree that business is not emotion, is not a relationship, right? That's a personal relationship, but obviously you don't want to be put on the bad end of things, okay? So it really depends on you. It really depends on you, but I think that I can't answer that question clearly if I don't have a number of factors put together, but I would just advise that make a decision based on your own reality. Where are you and how can you secure the best investment that will move your business to the next milestone?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, this is for Tobi. He said, from what you mentioned, being out there, building your personal brand, how do I begin this? Because I'm really shy. Person is a shy person and want to build a personal brand. How do they go about it?
All right, so thank you very much for that. There are different ways that you can build a personal brand. If you're a shy person, so you probably would want to go more into things like podcast or article content writing, content putting out content in terms of written content, right? As regards to video, right? In order to put yourself out there, right? But one thing I always advise people is, for everybody, one way or the other, you have to also look at certain things that, from yourself, what do you need to adjust personally on your own person as well. So if being shy is, it's not going to get you to where you want to get to, then it's also important that you try to, I'm not saying you should change your person, but you try to look at how to work around it, right? But however, you can always obviously, what they call it, explore other options that do not rely on your face or you being there talking to people, right? As a means to still achieve the goal, like writing content. So you can have a medium for put out articles, thought leadership articles, put out what they call. You could also do podcasts, which doesn't require you to face a large audience of people, right? But it's always good to try as much as possible to do some things that you are typically uncomfortable with. So, for example, I'm actually a shy person, but I've over the years, what they call it, but being a shy person.
Thank you. You don't look shy. Thank you so much. Okay. So Asha, someone said, if my business hasn't been keeping proper records for a while, how do we do due diligence with investors?
So you already know what due diligence is, did they? So usually for people that don't know, usually when you are raising money, there's usually what's called the DD room. And it's just an online drive, maybe Google Drive or Dropbox, where you put your statement of account, financial statements, traction, your NPR, everything about your business. The person knows the answer to this question, okay? The answer to the question is you can't get your data now. You can't get your data because how do you want to sell your business? If you have been in business for a while, like you've been in business for a while, and I get your business, you need to tell us about your traction. We need to see evidence of your traction. Some of the things you can also use is probably screen grabs of your backend, to show evidence of traction. That's your CMS, that's your dashboard, to show evidence of traction. Financial statement, get an financial auditor to audit your accounts and prepare financial statements. Since your chartered accountant and can as well be your auditor based on the Financial Act that was passed in 2020. So they can do both for you. What else do you need? You need probably stories from list of your customers. You need a list of your customers. You should have that already. So it's not hard, details of your customers, so that if investors want to talk to them, they can talk to them. And some other details that are predicated on these basic ones. Okay, so these are the basic, but from this basic data, you can also have some other data analysis. Okay, but you don't necessarily need it if you are raising pre-seed or seed round, especially when you're dealing with international investors. So but obviously you will need your business registration documents, your financial statements, your list of customers, okay, and your evidence of revenue. Okay. All right. So that's it.
Thank you. So basically document everything.
Yeah.
Okay. This is for Tobi. I'm a back-end developer, but the major challenge I have right now is I don't have any certification to back it up. What should I do to kickstart a career in tech space?
All right. So two two suggestions, but the first one first. Build a portfolio, right? Do more development, build a portfolio, have that, and then that should be able to get you to the door if you need to get a job or get opportunities in that area. So you can show the things that you've developed, right? And that's so what I would say is build a portfolio, probably do things and do some paid or voluntary development for people, right? To build a portfolio for yourself, right? The second one will be simply go get certified, right? But I always tell people also that certification is one thing. Certification gets you the attention, but your portfolio gets you the job. So you need to understand that, right? So certification, so they play two different roles, right? Right. And sometimes even when you have a very strong portfolio and you put it out there, it becomes a lot much easier than you even becoming certified in the first place. So I mean, at least coming from me that run a trading company, so that's the best honest advice.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so Asha, we have another question for you. Stephen Ifua said, thanks a lot for the revelation and lecture. What are the strategies a business developer can harness in developing a business and gaining the right traction for a startup, especially in the e-commerce sector? Do I repeat that?
What's a key question?
Okay.
What does the person want to know?
How to harness, how can a developer harness strategies in developing a business and gaining the right traction for a startup?
I think the first thing is what problem are you solving? Do you get? Always think about the problem you're solving. Always think about the customer. Okay. Okay. So let me give you this. Okay. There's what I know you've heard about what's called product market fit. Now, we've been on a journey where there is a product and there is a market. Now, first question is, your product, is it solving a problem? Now, if it's solving a problem, what market is it solving it for? And is the market big enough? Okay. So if your market is not big enough, all right, and you have to be very realistic, then you got to move. If your market is saturated, you got to move. Okay. So one of the things that you want to ask yourself is, what is e-commerce? Yes. I mean, but if you say you want to do e-commerce today, are you doing the Jumia way? Are you doing the Okonga way? What is new? Okay. If you tell me that, oh, Jumia is not in Jos, Jumia is not in Kaduna, Jumia is not in Katsina, okay, maybe that's new, right? So what is just new? What problem are you solving? What is the size of this market that you're trying to solve a problem for? Be very realistic about the size of your market. Remember, Africans don't have money to spend. Okay, the Africans don't have money. So that's the truth. So even if you are selling to business, you're selling to individuals, what's the size? So, but if you're selling to a lot of people, right? Or if you're solving a major problem, then Africans can spend money. But if you're selling to, if you are competing with Jumia, you're competing. I mean, so the reason why I said Africans don't have money is look at, if you have time, we can't talk about that now, but if you have some time, go and study the business model of Jumia, of Apple Music in Nigeria. I'm talking about in Nigeria. I'm not talking about Apple Music or Jumia outside Nigeria. I'm talking about the major players in the market, Apple Music, Jumia, what's the Amazon Prime Time or whatever. Do you get? Go and study them and see their business model and see how much they are charging. Netflix, check how much they are charging and look at the size of the market. So if these guys were to start their business in Nigeria and they were charging this amount, will they be $1 billion company just by this product, just with this product that they have? So that's how you start to rethink, the way you do business and how you think about your business and how you can enlarge your dreams and how you can expand your business outside the shores of Nigeria, because it's very important. Okay, so strategy is dependent on your product, market, maybe let's say roadmap.
Thank you. Toby, would you like to add to it?
Yeah, so just like Asha said, I think it all starts with the customer, the problem you're trying to solve. Most importantly, if you're trying to you're trying to understand where your customers are, so and how to communicate effectively with that customer, right? That's I'm coming from more from a marketing strategy point of view, right? In terms of developing business opportunities. So you have to look at different angles of how you can, sell that e-commerce. So e-commerce is actually very broad. So you can either be an e-commerce marketplace or you can be an e-commerce that sells a particular types of product, right? So that type of product that you're selling, right? You can look at different angles, right? And be able to open new customer segments, for it. So for example, if you are selling solar, for example, right? How do you're selling solar, a particular segment could be business owners, right? And you have to look at it from the angle of what they call it, cost reduction for business owners, because that's what they care about, right? When you look at for an household, for example, another segment or another business segment would be households, right? And then you're looking at that from more from the angle of comfort, reducing your bills. Do you understand? And then that in itself, you can create a strategy on how to communicate that, reach out to this particular segment of customers a lot much easier. Now, if it's a marketplace where you are selling multiple products, right? You still have to look at how to divide, those segments of products, and do the same thing that I just spoke about in terms of looking at, okay, so what type of people that would value this particular product and why would they value it, right? These are questions that you need to answer and then use that to define, they would value it because they want to reduce costs. They will value it because they want to make more money, right? They will value it because this is their pain point, this is their desire, right? And I think when you come from that angle, it gives a bit more clarity on how you should package your solution to the right people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that. So Asha has to go. He has another meeting. So I'll be directing other questions to you.
Okay.
Okay, so someone said, I'm currently not in tech, but I want to get into tech because I know the opportunities are boundless. Please tell me how to do this without making too much mistakes because I'm not really that young. I think DMSI is here for you.
Yeah, so first thing first, we're here for you. You can reach out to us, you can go to our website and learn more about us. But to answer that question very well, I can see the question again. All right, so to answer that question very well.
Do you want me to read it again? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I remember. If you want to get into tech, right? Yeah. It's very, very important that you understand that, like anything you're learning new, it's not going to be easy, right? And it's going to require dedication, right? So that's something on a more realistic note that you have to put at the back of your mind. Now, the second part is, where you go learn it from, right? So ensure you're learning it from people that actually practice what they preach, right? And most frankly, like any learning or any educational product, right? the success of it at the end of the day comes back to you, which means that how well are you ready to dedicate your time to learning, practicing, and even building yourself up with a skill that is required. Do you understand? So for me, I would advise that if you want to go into tech, I mean, there's no better time than to go into tech today, now, right? And that you should also, what they call it, but however, you should know that if you want to be successful, you have to understand that it's a new field that you're going into. There will be challenges, and you would, what they call it, you should be ready for that and be ready to see it through. Now, the other thing I want to say is that make sure you learn from an organization that will support you, right? That you will be able to go back, ask questions if you need help. That's very, very essential, because if you're learning tech for the first time, you would actually have a lot of roadblocks along the way, right? Depending on the aspect of tech you're learning, but you would always face some one roadblock or the other. So you need to be able to ask questions and get help along the line.
Yeah, that's very important. Thank you so much. So the last question, I'm sorry, Comfort, I'll get your question to Asha and we'll email the response to all attendees. So the last question for Tobi. I've been trying to get an international
I can answer that question as well, actually.
Oh, you can? Okay, let me do that. Okay, okay, let me ask this one before the other one. I've been trying to get an international job in tech for a while, but it's been very difficult because I get a lot of rejections. What do you think I'm not doing right?
All right, so it depends on the rejection, what the reason for the rejection is, right? So you can be rejected because you're applying for jobs that require you to have some form of resident or work permit in a country that you are applying for the job with. That's one. Second of all, you are applying for a job, right? And they do not, so it also depends on the point where you get rejected. So if it's that you are getting rejected once you send your CV, then you need to go back to look at your CV. Maybe you need to highlight more of the projects in clear achievements of what you've been able to do, right? To apply for. You also need to look at the kind of job and understand the real requirement that they're looking for those jobs. So it's not, I mean, I no disrespect to Nigerian businesses or whatever, but there is not, you don't, I've seen, or Nigerian job seekers in general, I've seen CVs of people that, you're applying for a digital marketing role and you send your CV, and your CV is still showing that you did sales executive in 3 different places and does not have anything reflecting that you just acquired a digital marketing skill or that you are doing digital marketing, right? I've seen that a lot, so you might be able to get away with it in Nigeria and still get called for interview. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? But in more of those developed worlds or those global, what call it, your CV content matters a lot. In fact, there are formulas, that even when it comes to interview formulas, there's a STAR formula, right? I can't remember what it's fully called, but you can Google it, STAR interview formula, right? So there are formulas on how you should answer questions, and there are ways you should structure your CV. So they want you to be able to highlight your key achievements. So I worked in this place, this is what I did, and then these are my key achievements, right? They want to be able to see some of those things on your CV, right? And most importantly also is they want to also know that you have a portfolio, you have something that you can show that you can do, right? So if you have a portfolio, put a link to it in your CV so that they don't even have to ask for it. They can go check it out and become impressed even before they get to know you. Then for my last point would be read through the job that you're trying to apply to. Ensure that that job is an 100% remote job and is a job that does not require what they call it, work permit, right? Which means they're happy to hire people from anywhere from the world. Do you understand? That's another thing you have, because I've seen a lot of people apply. They just say remote, they just apply. But some of those remotes are actually tied to you being in that country where that job is. Do you understand? So you have to, make sure you read the requirements very well. right? In order to be able to make the decision on which company to apply for or not. Or 80% of the time where you get rejected from submitting your CV, you need to look at your CV. You also need to look at the jobs that you're applying for, if those jobs initially are suited for you in terms of work permit and things like that. Now, if you are rejected after you've been invited for an interview, then you definitely have to work on your interview style. Now, it's not, like again, you go for interview in Nigeria and they ask you a question, you give like 2 lines of answers, right? In this one, they want you to be a bit more detailed. They want to actually follow a formula, right? Talk about the problem, how you solved it, and then point to some proof that okay, I mean, there's a star formula. Anyways, you go do a Google research on the star formula for interview process, right? And then be able to get be able to answer interviews more clearly and more better. So yeah, so that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. We still have few questions. Please pardon us. We'll be running
No
late.
problem.
Just
That's fine.
give us a few minutes. I hope you can help us with these questions. Okay.
Yeah.
As a founder, you should be able to, how do you show investors as a founder that you are trustworthy? Is having a good online presence enough? I think Asha mentioned something about it earlier.
Yeah, so if you want to show investors that you are trustworthy, right? An online presence is good. Having your company books is good. Having some form of board to show that you are not just waking up to make decisions, and then going back to sleep, and then you wake up the next morning, and then you decide to, do anything you want to do, right? But having some form of board that that guides some of the processes that what they call it is going on internally, right? That would show investors a bit of more confidence, right? Then also you also need to look at your founding team, right? So it doesn't have to be your co-founder or whatever, but your founding team is also very, very important. Your team. So um, uh, what's the balance skill sets mix that they have, right? So like Asha was explaining the other time that if you are doing FMCG and then the next thing you want to do Internet of Things, it might be harder. But if your team comprises of someone that is a tech person, someone that is in marketing and sales, someone that those people have track record, right? That can give investors a lot of confidence. Due diligence, they look at the processes you have internally, your policies. They look at, if you've been able to do something successful before in the past, your history and all. So that's why, in as much as, we want to be who we are, we also have to learn to be a bit very, very deliberate on the thing, because everything does matter. You'll be so surprised, something you did 2 years ago, right, can actually either make or mar an opportunity that you have today. Do you understand? So you want to try to be very, very conscious and ensure that you are doing the right thing at as much as you can.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was accurate. Thank you. So 2 more and we are out. We are so sorry, our attendees.
No problem, that's fine.
How do you get investors for your products? Are there events you attend to meet them?
Oh yeah, so there are a lot of investors events. I was in one last night in London. There are a lot in Nigeria as well. So you have to go out there, network. I think one of the first things you could do is go on Eventbrite, for example, and search investor, business, whatever event, and then start to network, right? So typically you get news of this events from other founders as well. So you need to start meeting business owners and other founders so that you can, start to get more of information on some of these things. You could also go online and go on LinkedIn and search for VCs, right? Venture capitalists, right? And connect with them, introduce yourself. Do you understand? And whenever they have, some might even have what they call it, VC companies that organize meet and greets from time to time, right? So they can invite you for it. So you just have to be very, very strategic, you know, in your approach on how you want to get to this. So you can use some of what I've just mentioned, and that will be helpful.
Thank you so much. The last question before we call it a day: are there grants for businesses? That is, people that will give money to business without requesting for equity?
Well, there are always grants, you know, and grants are typically always tied to social good. So if you have a business that is making impact, right, there are different grants for it. There are even grants that just helps businesses grow personally, right? There are a lot of grants, you know, out there. You have to obviously, you know, use search for some of those grants, right? I'm trying to remember the name of a platform where you can actually see grants, but if I remember, I would probably share it through Osna now. But yeah, so but they are what they call it. You can always, I think the site is called Opportunity Now, I think so, but I will confirm, right? So yeah, so if you want, there are different sites that gives grants, and you can always apply to those grants if your business is in line with their requirements. I mean, for women focused businesses, there are quite significant number of grants that are available for female-led businesses.
Thank you so much. We are so grateful to have you here. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being part of our show. I hope everyone here has been able to learn one or two things. Please, let's give a digital round of applause for Tobi. He has really been helpful, and he has done justice to most of the questions. If you have further questions, please send it and we will email it to him and get feedback. Thank you so much, Tobi Asehinde. Our team is grateful. We are so glad to host you. We hope you'll be able to attend to our invite if we need to next time.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope you have been able to learn one or two things. The video link will be shared with you soon. The audio will be shared as well, so you can go through it. You can, if you need to ask questions, you can chat our speakers. You can reach them on their pages. You can reach them on LinkedIn. You can reach them on Instagram. Both of them are very active on LinkedIn, so you can easily reach them. So yeah, today, this is the end of webinar for Host Now Activate November edition. Thank you for joining. Do have a great day, and we hope that you've taken one or two points that will be useful for you. Thank you so much. Tobi, thank you once again. Do have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.